It's thinking about
We're
it.
live. All right,
We're
welcome
live.
back. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Do Hard Things podcast. I'm Jay Teagues, and I have with me the lovely Angie Bertrand. How you doing this morning?
I am doing great. It's Monday and we are live. We got it. We got it going.
It is the Mondayest of Mondays. So I'm in Colorado. So if you're watching the video, and hopefully my audio holds up because I am on my iPad and I got this little headset I got last night at Walgreens because like a dumbass
Don't
I
touch it.
left town. Don't touch it! Don't touch it! I'm not touching it. I'm sitting on my hands. I left town and I left my computer plug at home, so I don't have my computer, and then I don't have my headphones because I'm out of town with my daughters on a trip. And to be honest, it wasn't even front of mind until like I started going through my normal prep. I'm like, oh shoot, because I usually every time I travel, I have everything with me. But this week I am just discombobulated. So apologize if the audio sounds weird or if I look weird or something happens during this broadcast. It's all my fault. Blame me. And
But we're here. We're
yeah,
here.
but we are here, and it is an hour. We typically it's 5 o'clock in the morning here in Colorado where I'm at, so my brain is still like a little foggy. Anyway, we're here. We're live, Angie, and we had some technical issues this morning, but we made it on time, so awesome.
Yeah.
But anyway, in today's episode, we want to talk about the importance of family. I'm taking a family trip. Angie has been, pulling grandma duties and just talking out. She's been just helping out family, and we just want to talk about the importance of fostering family. Family is amazing. Family is I don't know. There's some unique dichotomies to family. You love them. Sometimes you want to throat punch them.
Mm-hmm.
But why is family so important to our overall well-being? And in the Do Hard Things mnemonic, there's 4 lines of effort. Relationships is a critical component. There's health and wellness, affluence, wealth, relationships, and your development. Relationships, a fundamental component of that is your family. So that's what we want to talk about. I'm going to talk a little bit about my trip. Anthony's going to talk a little about her family, some of the nuances of family. But before we get into that, real quick, make sure you smash the subscribe button so you're notified of future episodes. Share it with a couple of your friends, and leave us a review on iTunes. This episode is sponsored by the Lions Guide. We have a group called the Forge. The Forge is a high performance community, and we feel that leadership solves most problems. And this is a community. If you're ready to take the next step in your personal growth journey, it's an opportunity to join a network of like-minded people. We have weekly calls where we teach frameworks. There's challenges, and you have a sense of accountability, so you can continue this journey alone. So it's like a gym for your mindset, essentially. So we have weekly calls. We got a book of the month. This month we're talking about command presence and how to more like your nonverbal cues and how you present yourself and some of the nuances, how you gesture, how you speak, things of that nature that we often overlook. So it's been a great topic. We're also brought to you by Do Hard Things Apparel. If you go to dohardthingsnation.com, go grab yourself some awesome, inspiring, high-quality apparel that will inspire you to do hard things. And as far as upcoming events, on 9 September, we have the Do Hard Things 5K, 9.11-mile run or ruck. And, it's going to be at Cooper's Landing in Columbia to honor those that gave the ultimate sacrifice to 9/11. And we have a virtual option. So we have a lot of people that are signing up that can't be there physically, but they're signed up. And Lacey's done an amazing job creating the medals. The shirts this year are pretty rad, and I'm excited. We got a special guest showing up, so we're pretty excited about it. And that's it. That's it for all the show notes. So, Angie, how are you doing this morning?
I'm great. Hey, listen, thinking about the 9/11 run, I'm super bummed that I'm not going to be there in person because I have to work. But I really wanted to meet the guest speaker. But someone reached out to me who's a local. She runs, and she's like, "Hey, I can't be there in person, but I'm going to do it virtually. Do you want to run together?" I was like, "Heck yeah!" So I think I'm going to try to put together like a local group run here for the 9/11 run, just because there's several of us that really, really want to do it. We're already signed up, but for work reasons or whatever reasons, we can't be there in person. And so I'm super excited about that.
That there's a few people that are meeting up at Fort Leonard Wood too. So if you put that together, we can put that out. And then what I can do is we might be able to live stream the start for those that can't make it. Or if some people are asking, hey, can I do it the day before? Can I do it the day after? Totally fine. So if you're thinking about doing it, but you can't make it there, shoot me a message. We'll work out the details on the virtual option.
Yeah.
But the medals are awesome, and it's for it's gonna be a great event, great cause.
Do
So
we have a preview of the medals or the shirt yet? Because just tell Lacey that I'm really looking forward to seeing them.
Lacey is probably watching. I know she's putting the final touches on stuff because that will be out in
I
the
need a
marketing
preview,
soon,
Lacey.
right?
I
Yeah,
need a preview.
yeah. She's listening. I'm sure. Yes, there'll be one soon. I'm
I love
sure.
you, Lacey. It's not like you've got so much on your plate. I mean, you're busy. I know.
Yeah,
But anyway, yeah,
yeah,
no, life is good, man. I just saw my grandbaby this weekend, Friday, Saturday. Got to go spend some QT time with her and um my son's girlfriend, Kelsey, and just yeah, I got to make it to family dinner yesterday, which is something I haven't been able to do. Family dinner is just a group of friends that we get together over at a friend's house and catch up during the week because we're all super busy. And man, I didn't realize how busy I'd been, but they were like, "We haven't seen you in a long time." I'm like, "Yeah, you're right," because I'm just,
yeah,
busy all just like you guys. It's just one of those things.
yeah.
But it just fills my cup when I get to spend time with family. And family, by the way, guys, can be whatever you shape it to be. It could be a group of friends, it could be blood, it could be not blood, whatever those people that are closest to you that fill your cup. I feel like those are family. And I got to do that yesterday, and it was really nice.
Yeah, we've coined the term "family," and
Mm-hmm.
that's in our small military community town. We have this collection, this group of people that get together for Sunday dinners, and it's known as the family. And
Mm-hmm.
because they're friends that are so close, they've become like family. And in a military town, it's not uncommon to have, just people that are these communities that are just really, really tight knit because everyone is away from home, and you
Yeah.
can't always make it home for you need that support, right? Families can provide that support network, and with the military community, you don't have that
Yeah.
typically. So, but you have this like common bond of this these deep relationships and
Mm-hmm.
the same values systems. There's just a lot of nuances there that make for a really tight knit family, if you will.
Yeah.
And that's and I don't have much of a. I have not been very close to my blood family. If this is the first time I've talked about it, I had a very tumultuous upbringing, and so the military. A lot of people I've met in the military have become my family, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
because my family roots aren't that deep. I just didn't have that very dysfunctional upbringing. My mom and dad have since passed and whatnot, so my family is really my family. That's it. And I've got Lacey's family have adopted me, and they're amazing people, and I love family and my kids, right? So just pouring into them because that's so important to have
Mm-hmm.
that sense of community.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, you're talking about the military life. Gosh, I will be Rudy and I will be celebrating our 21st wedding anniversary on August 19th, and 23 years together. But, a large part of that was him being in the military and being deployed or being sent out to the field. And so Dion and I had a really, really close, relationship. Dion's my son, a really close relationship all those years. He was like my little sidekick, when Rudy
mhm.
was gone. Um, and for me, that helped strengthen. I mean, not that we wouldn't have had a close relationship anyway, but I really think, just one of the nuances, if you talk to a lot of military families, sometimes that's kind of all you feel like you have is what you had, your little unit there in your own personal little world.
Yeah,
And that can either make it or break it.
yeah. I have an article here that's got like the 10 reasons why family is important. I want to highlight a couple of these. So the first one is families set the stage for future relationships. And what it talks about here is your very first relationship in life, and whether it be good or bad, is your parents and your siblings.
Mhm.
And these relationships provide a model of what future relationships will look like. And they're the people that you choose to partner with later in life and hang out with are usually, a direct relationship to it's a result of the people that you hang out with first when you first arrive. And those family dynamics can tend to repeat themselves. And so it's very important. And I want people to understand that. Look, I'm a product of a very, man, a difficult upbringing would be an understatement. And that those I've had to unpack some things in my life, some traumas and things like that, because of my father was physically abusive, and my upbringing was not so good. But that doesn't give you, and it did affect some relationships later in my life.
Mhm.
I've had to learn, how to communicate with people better, especially like, intimate partners, right? And I kind of fumbled that early on in my life, and I'm like, that doesn't give you, but all that to say that if you've had a tough upbringing, it doesn't give you an excuse. It's just something that you have to overcome.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think that I'm losing my train of thought here on this one, but the bottom line is family is so incredibly important that although mine was dysfunctional, I think that's what makes me want to be a better father. So
Mhm.
we don't continue this. It doesn't
You
become a family tradition.
Yeah, you don't have to continue the cycle of abuse.
Continue the cycle of abuse. That's what I was trying to get to.
Yes.
Yes. And so, yeah, so I think it's important to not do that. And I don't know what right looks like, but I know what it does. So I'm just doing the opposite of what my father did growing up. At least I'm trying to.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
to that point, I am in Colorado, and I'm on a daddy-daughter vacation. So I've got 3 15-year-olds myself, and then we picked up one because Sam's best friend is here. So she's been with us the whole
Yee.
time. We got an Airbnb, and she's been with us the whole time. So I got 4 teenagers this week, and you want to talk about doing hard things?
Yeah. And making some great memories.
we, it was rainy yesterday. We were going to go to the top of Pikes Peak, and I was like, "Hey, girls, what do you guys want to do?" And Dad, we want to go to the mall. I'm like, "The mall? We're in Colorado, and the last place on earth I want to go to is the mall."
Yeah.
But bit the bullets. It's not my vacation; it's their vacation. So it's our vacation. So I'm compromising, and
Uh-huh.
that's what we did yesterday. Is we went to the mall,
Oh.
back to school shopping with teenagers. That was
Oh, yeah,
so.
yeah, yeah, I forget about that. Mhm.
So, have you had challenging moments with family?
Oh, yeah,
That's a
yeah.
stupid loaded question.
So many challenging moments with
how do
family.
you how do you deal with challenging family members?
Well, I try to God, it took me a long place. It took me a really long, long time to get to where I'm at, because I experienced trauma, early childhood trauma growing up. My mom had me really young, and she and my father ended up getting divorced, and she just wasn't in a good place. She just needed to get her stuff together. So she did the best thing that she could for me, which was um, ask my grandparents to raise me, which was
Hmm.
amazing. I'm so glad she did that for me. But, that whole process, there was some trauma there. I mean, for a very long time, my first memory was running after a car down the driveway, and I thought it was just a dream, and my grandmother said, "No, actually, what you're probably remembering is when your mom dropped you off and you were running after the car down the driveway." Um, and, if my mom's listening, "Hey, I'm really sorry I'm bringing all this stuff up," but it is what it is. It's the past, and we've moved on and grown through it, so don't get your feelings hurt, because I love you, mom. But yeah, there's been, and it took me my mom had to grow into herself and grow up, and it wasn't easy her doing it by herself. So she made a lot of mistakes along the way. And me being a child, my grandparents never spoke bad about my mom or anything, but I had a lot of resentment and a lot of anger for a lot of years that took a very long time for me to process and work through. And it actually wasn't until I had my son Dion and saw what a great grandmother she was and how dedicated she was to him, that I finally was able to start working on letting go of some of that anger and some of that just resentment and all the things. Um, and my mom and I are closer than ever now. We talk every day, just about. Um, we've got a really good, strong, healthy relationship, but it took a long time to get there.
Yeah.
A really long time.
Isn't it crazy? I love the freedom we have in the United States, but when it comes to like child rearing, like there is no licensing, there's no application process to screen, there's no training. I
Mm-mm.
have more training. I mean, just driving a forklift from the military than I do training received to be a parent.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah, and
nuts.
in the digital age, there's all the opinions on how you should do it. All the opinions on how
Yeah,
you
yeah.
should do it.
Yeah, there's no manual on how to raise a kid, and
Oh,
anyone
there
can
was
bring a
Doctor
kid in. So,
Spock's manual. You
oh,
don't remember that? Doctor Spock had a manual.
from Star Trek?
No, wait, what was his name? Was it Doctor Spock? What was
I have more
his
I
name?
have more
Oh my
training from
god,
Dr. Spock on Star Trek than I do as a parent.
who was that? Was it now I can't remember. It
No,
had like it was like how to raise your child. It was like this old oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to Google it.
I
Okay.
have I have heard of that. I've heard of Dr. Spock. I never read any of his stuff, but I remember younger people were talking about Dr. Spock.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
I remember there were some books like for every year the child. There's a really good book series, but that's if you want to read it, right? So many
Yeah.
people don't ever pick up a book again. So the point is, there's not a lot of education out there on how to raise a kid. Some people do it remarkably well. Some people not so much, and that's that's part of. But hey, we're here. I mean, I remember growing up in the back. I don't even know how we survived. I grew up riding around the back of pickup trucks.
Yeah.
My father had an old this boat of a car,
Mhm.
smoking cigarettes, and there's
Mhm.
no you weren't wearing seatbelts in the back.
Dude, I
Um,
remember being I think I was 10 or 12. I had to have been maybe I was young, like, and my aunt had this huge boat of a truck, like this huge Chevy or Ford steel boat on wheels, and it was manual, and we lived so my grandparents owned a convenience store and a costume shop and stuff, like, on this corner, and then a street over is where my aunt lived at the time, and I would get in that truck, and she would let me drive it over to the convenience store to get her cigarettes and stuff. Like,
it's awesome.
I'm just like nowadays, oh my god, my mom, she let my son drive she let Dion drive her car around the block when he was, like, 10, and they weren't going more than 5 miles an hour, but we lived on the installation, and Rudy was an MP, and I looked outside, and Dion's like and he's driving by, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "You can't do that. We live on a federal installation. That's crazy. Like, we can't that's so unsafe." But, I mean, I did it. Not on a federal installation, but I still did it.
No, it's nuts. One of the craziest things that I look now, like there's no way I would do it with my kids, but it was like common thing. My father had an old, it was like a red, late 1970s Ford F-150, so square box truck. They're cool now when you see them.
Mhm.
Um, he had a camper on the back. It was like an old camper, the ones that go in the back of the bed, and it kind of oh, forgot. Shoot, what's the terminology for it? Talking about the big campers in the back and
Yeah.
over top
I know
of
what you're
the
talking about. I don't I it's
yeah. You got the bunk over top of the hood or over top of the roof of the vehicle kind of
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Well, we would climb up in the back of that, and I would lay up on top of the bunk. And back in those older campers, you don't see them now. They don't put windows up there. I
Mhm.
think due to crash ratings or whatever. But I would just hang out up there going down the highway with my head out the window. You could slide the glass open
Uh-huh.
with the screen there
Yes.
and just be driving from Clarksville, Missouri over to Illinois, like these
Yep.
long trips
Yep.
and just hanging out up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
How,
I had a
totally unsafe. Like if you get a car accident, I'm like done for.
I would have my own, like, camping area in the back of ours. Yes, my grandfather had the same thing, and it was so cool because 'cause we'd lay out layers of blankets and throw all my toys back there, and I just kept busy.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So
Yeah. All that to say, there's no training manual, and we
yeah,
survived. So
that's right.
I
That's
think we're
right.
far more safety conscious. But
Yeah,
all those
we're
memories of family, right, are critical. And I think
mhm,
about making memories with my kids as being a critical
mhm,
component.
mhm.
And yeah, I don't know. So I'm of the camp, or at least one of I'm trying to do as much as I can to create memories with my kids, but they have such an unusual childhood compared to how we grew up.
Yeah. Yeah.
which
Well,
makes it incredibly challenging.
makes me think of the book, The Family Boardroom, that we
Mm.
read in the Forge, during COVID. And if you're out there listening and you haven't read The Family Boardroom, I highly encourage you. It's a quick read, it's an easy read, but it really will highlight and bring to the forefront of your thoughts of the importance of spending time with your family.
Yeah, I did a podcast episode early on, like a highlight of that
Mhm,
for those that didn't read the book. So you can probably search the Do Hard Things podcast and it'll pop up. But the whole point of it is a systematic approach to spending one-on-one time with your kids. If you want to strengthen your family, you got to
mhm,
strengthen the individual parts, and spending that one-on-one time with the family is important. So that's
mhm.
what that's about. Yeah. So a couple other bullet points from this article here is family relationships are linked to a person's mental health. There have been many studies on the importance of family time, especially dinner time, where families can be healthy even if they don't eat dinner together every night. There's a correlation between this time together and a young person's well-being. Kids that eat with their families regularly were less likely to show depression symptoms. On the other side of the spectrum, research shows that negative family relationships can trigger or worsen mental health issues. I have definitely, can empathize with that. So I think the point of that is trying to find, especially in this digital society, like right now, it's very difficult to get everyone to put their phones down to eat a meal together. Can be a challenge sometimes.
Mhm.
How, but how I'm in Airbnb and someone's at the back door. We're sharing a unit downstairs. I think it was your
Oh,
neighbor. Sorry. I don't know if you heard that. I was like,
I
oh,
did. It's like,
thought
"Oh, we got a
someone,
guest. Got a guest
yeah,
coming in."
someone's about to come in here. I lost my train of thought. How have you found time to spend one-on-one time with your family, kids,
Uh-huh.
grandkids? What are your methods?
Well, Dion is oh my god, he's 27 now. His birthday was last Monday. So now as an adult, we he lives, in another state. Well, now actually he just moved back to Missouri, but um when he was younger, we spent a lot of time together just by default because of the military and Rudy being deployed or being out in the field, being out, whatever. It was just me and Dion. And so we just spent a lot of time together. We traveled a lot. We took trips together. He did roller derby with me once he got old enough. As a teenager, young adult, I just took every opportunity I could to go visit him when he was living in Tulsa, going to welding school, and had his own place. I would go out there. Rudy and I would go out there and spend time with him. Now I just, when he tried to time his time off with a visit, go to see him, plan around, get out there and just see him as much as possible. Now that he lives only 2 hours away from me, Rudy and I were talking about what you're saying because we were like, Rudy goes, "Wow, you've got pretty low mileage on your vehicle." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's about to change." Because now he's only 2 hours away. But I really plan time to go spend with Dion and with my family and with Rudy. I mean, yeah, it's just we make plans for it and we spend time
Yeah,
together and we do things
yeah.
together.
So speaking of my neighbor that just kind of probably walked in the door, I was actually talking to him out here yesterday. He's a retired Army veteran, really nice guy, but he's in town for a funeral. Him and his family, they drove in
Mm,
from Oklahoma for a funeral. And we were talking yesterday, and he's talking about he's got 8 siblings, and they're all here, and he's excited to see them. But this is one thing stood out to me. He's like, he was like, I'm excited to see my sister. I hadn't seen her in 12 years. And I'm like, wow, 12 years. And
mm,
it took this tragic event
mhm.
to bring the family together.
Yeah.
And that's what when I heard that, and I talked to my daughters about that because yesterday they were fighting in the mall, and we had a little like meltdown moment. And when we got back in the car after everything was kind of settled, I'm like,
Mhm.
look, we're family, and I understand that we all fight. We can drive each other crazy,
Yeah.
but it is so important that what we say, because one of my daughters said something really really harsh to the other, and I had to pull her aside and kind of yank that collar and chain like a dog right
Yeah.
here. And I'm like, look, and I was explaining to them, some families can separate over time, and I don't want that for our family.
Right.
And how important that is, because I think I guess my point is I want to create a family that has a sense of closeness to it because I haven't experienced that before.
Mhm.
And I want to change that family dynamic for us. And I don't want to be in a situation where we don't see each other for 12 years. I think it's insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I have siblings I've never even met before. I have one that my half brother, I haven't seen him, but that's just how our family dynamic was. But it takes two people, right,
Mhm.
to make that connection. And I know I always haven't been the best at that, but the other person hasn't either. I just don't want that for I don't want that for my daughters. And if I can influence that in any way, I want to keep that from happening. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good, that's good. It takes work. It takes work and
It's
effort, you
work.
know?
Yes, it is work. It takes effort, intentionality.
Mhm.
Yeah. So a couple other points that I got from this article is, families teach values. Um, just thinking about all my craziness growing up, like what values did I gain from that? I will say this: my family immigrated here from the well, half my family immigrated from Germany, my father's side, the other half from Holland. So I'm first generation American. But the one ethic that I got from my grandparents was the value of work, and even all my aunts and uncles, like they were, despite some of the challenges they had, they were all very hardworking individuals, and that resonated with me growing up. And it made me think. That's why I love our country, is because there's so much opportunity here if you roll up your sleeves and you're ready to work. I mean, they left Europe after World War II because they saw the United States as a great place to bring a family. And also, although there was some dysfunction there in that, that hard work ethic and being an entrepreneur and rolling up your sleeves and you can make a life here for yourself was something that really stood out to me. And that was a value that I took from my family.
Mm.
What family or what values have you taken from your family?
Oh, definitely hard work. I mean, my grandparents, were entrepreneurs, they own their own businesses, and that's what I grew up in, that mindset of, don't ever, even though I am, but they really hit home, "Don't work for anyone else, work for yourself," and, the only problem is they worked, they 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 worked themselves to death. So they
Mm,
weren't educated in oh, how to all the nuances of finances and running a business. I mean, they did it. They made it work, and they were successful at it to a point, but they worked until they died, you know? And
yeah,
so I saw that, and I, was taught that, for a very long time, I was actually kind of like I watched how they just worked themselves to death, and I'm like, "I don't wanna be that person." So I work for the government. I work for someone else, but I'm trying to and have tried to educate myself on how to work for myself, how to own my own business without working myself into the ground.
yeah,
How to be
yeah,
successful, how to be a successful entrepreneur without working myself in the ground, but definitely hard work. Hard work, is something that was modeled my entire life.
yeah.
And hard work, integrity, and treating people kindly. Like, that was something else. I mean, everybody loved my grandparents. They knew my grandmother, and everybody loved her because she just made you feel special.
Yeah.
She just made you feel like you're the only person, and you're an amazing human being, and you can do anything in the world. And so, yeah. Yep, treat people kind and work hard.
It seems like most families, and this, even dysfunctional families, have like this patriarch or matriarch or someone in the
Mhm.
family that is just awesome and
Mhm.
keeps the family together. And that was my grandmother as well. She was probably my oma. She's Dutch, and just one of the nicest ladies that brought the entire family together.
Mhm.
And when she passed, that was kind of it. Like the family hasn't really gotten together since. Like everyone kind of broke off and did their own thing. And that really makes me sad
Mhm.
that kind of happened. But to your point, there's always someone in the family that just kind of, it's like the glue, right? It's
Yeah.
the brings it all together.
Yeah.
And but the critical component, I think a lot of our challenges with society is the breakdown of the family dynamic, and it starts with fatherless homes and things like that. And I think a lot of our challenges in society, if we want to improve some of these things that are happening, it really boils down to that family dynamic. And I think that it drives me crazy when parents shirk their responsibility as parents. And I think that I don't know, if you want to make the world a better place, you make yourself better, and that and honor your roles of what you're supposed to do.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying I'm the world's greatest dad, but I'm definitely doing my very best to make meaningful moments and create a good family structure, and try to break the cycle in my family.
Mhm.
And so, to me, that's why family is important.
Yeah, it's a good thing to remember, Jay, that we aren't perfect. We just do our best with the best intentions, and when we make mistakes, we own up to it. We need to be transparent about it, and try to correct it because we're not human. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to make so many stinking mistakes
Yeah,
in every aspect, and especially parenting. And so we just got to learn from them. That's all.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
put some effort forth into, like, hey, dang, man, how could I have done that differently? All right, well, let's regroup. All right, this is how I'm gonna do it. This is how I'm gonna do it next time.
yeah.
This is how I'm gonna handle it next time. Just because you make a mistake once, that doesn't have to set the course for your entire. You don't have to be that way.
Absolutely. So, I guess takeaways for this podcast and for those listening, because we've been we're all over the place this morning. It's all good. But how can you set a greater intention for your family? One of the greatest regrets that I have was not calling my mom often enough. And I was in the military, so I was heads down in my career. And when she passed, that's the greatest regret that I had, that I hadn't made a greater effort to be more engaged and be more present, call her
Mhm.
more,
Mhm.
show up more. And I can't get that time back. And that's probably my biggest regret in life. And I'm going to go to the grave on that one. Um, and so I just want people to remind, like, don't be so busy with work. Make time, be intentional with your family the best that you can.
Yeah.
And now that I've got teenagers that are 15, I'm just doing the math. I'm like, I've only got a couple more summers left with them,
Mhm.
So I'm like, girls, get in the car, pile in the car. We're going to Colorado and we're going to make some memories, So that's what we're doing this week.
Mhm.
So,
Right on.
um,
That's
and
good. Good
yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
So, so as far as this week's weekly wake up, we're not prepared this morning. We're gonna forego that until next week. However, if you know someone that's kicking ass, taking names, doing something amazing, maybe they've hit a huge milestone with their health. Maybe they've got a big milestone with their affluence and wealth building. Maybe there's a big relationship milestone, like the 25th wedding anniversary, whatever that is. If you know someone that's doing something really cool or unique, we want to hear about it. And we select people on a weekly basis for a Do Hard Things shirt, just
Mhm.
to honor and recognize them. Due to some technical issues this week and whatnot, we're going to forego it because we are having some. I'm amazed that my microphone is still working, and Angie has the studio. So we're unfortunately we're going to bypass this week, but
Yeah.
appreciate you guys listening. And if you have any comments or anything about the topic of relationships, we'd love to hear it. Any final
Yeah.
thoughts, Angie?
No, you know what? As always, go out, make somebody smile, make yourself smile, make your family smile, make your friends smile, make a stranger smile. It just makes the world a better place, and it's contagious, and you know, it just goes on and on and on and on.
Yeah, show
Yeah.
up with some intentionality, make someone smile. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right. Well, that's it for this week's episode. Keep doing hard things. We'll see you guys next week.
All right. We'll see ya.